When you first came in Grandma's house, you always had to take your shoes off. And there was always a place to do that, and then you could throw them in the back bedroom if you wanted, or not. And then there was always a big step that you could trip over. Running inside the house when I was young, I would trip over that often. This is new carpet, but the idea is the same. The other thing is here, there's a great big step going into the bedroom. This was all an addition that I think Grandpa added. I'll have to get more information about it. But when you walked in, you saw Grandpa's railroad tie. He worked for the railroad for many, many years. And then pictures of Grandpa in front of a fancy car. That's what one of the things Grandma liked about him when she first met him, was he had a car. And here he is with my cousin Rick, and they're getting fishing pole ready. And I never saw Grandpa smoke a pipe, so that was new to me. So when you first walk in, Grandma would be sitting in her chair, and before that, my grandpa sat in that chair, at least in this corner. And they'd get up and welcome you. It's a couch. Coffee table was there forever. And Gina and I remember laying underneath the coffee table and on our bellies. And we'd be facing this TV. And back then it was a huge TV console and a great big box. And we'd watch Lawrence Welk. And Grandma would sit on that side. And Grandpa would sit over here. And they thought that was the greatest. There's always been a couch there, and we would sit next to Grandpa. I would sit next to Grandpa and watch so many, I can't remember what it was called, but it was wild animals or whatever, and we'd watch OPB all the time. Grandma was a lover of snow babies and had many, many snow babies. You can see those up there. You'll also notice all of the Cubs stuff. She also loved her family very much. And there's many pictures of all of us, different times of our lives. And these 6 pictures have been on this wall all of my life. And they were the 3 girls. Delphia's pictures are the lowest. Linda Kay is the middle. And then Aunt Sue on the top. And my grandma loved her daughters. And she always dressed them the best that they could. There used to be a cuckoo clock up here that I remember. If you went straight through here, oh, these pictures on the wall have been here for a long time. I think there used to be a wolf here too. The snow babies. Even a poster. Crochet. A picture of me in my wedding dress. And then the angel pictures. You'll find many, many old homes. On the bookshelf you see, again, the 3 girls, and then just family pictures. So many family pictures. And then my grandma loved romance novels. Not the smutty ones. Grandma liked things about the Mennonites and those kind of romance stories. There's pictures on the wall. Going to Cubs games. There was a picture here of Guy, her grandson. Grandma had to live through losing 2 son-in-laws, and she loved them very much too. My Uncle David and my Uncle Steve. Over in the corner, there's a placemat with more family pictures. The phone that Grandma couldn't really use because she was so deaf, especially at the end. And you can see that she had this corner all decked out with nice speakers. My mom purchased those speakers, and then Anthony and I hooked them up for her so that she could listen directly to the TV. But in this corner, there were her 6 grandkids, the 6 original grandkids. There was Cindy, Ricky on the right, Guy on the left, and then David Dwayne. And on the other wall, this is me, Tara, and then a chubby little Gina. And here is a handprint that my daughter Megan made in plaster, and it got to hang there beside her. Now when I was growing up, there used to be an 8-track record player or something here, but of course that went away. Grandma has more snow babies. I remember when she had this window put in, she did not, she couldn't ever put it in when Grandpa was here, but she spent some money and put it up after he passed and took over the corner. So we're almost done with the living room. More family pictures. She went on a great trip to New York City when she was older. You can see there's pictures put together. I think Cindy did this for her, of all the things that they saw there in New York City. This is a picture of my great-grandpa, Grandma Skinner's father. He's leaning down to feed the squirrels. This was all colored afterwards because there wouldn't have been color photography back then. And Grandma always talked about his beautiful blue eyes. And this is a picture of his wife, Grace, my grandma's mother. You go into Grandma's room. She always had her bed here, always. And they had a beautiful window. Grandma's door was decorated with pictures from New York City and that trip. There's even pictures of Grandma the World Traveler in Hawaii, Panama Canal, and France and Germany. Cindy did this and it was beautiful. It hung on her wall ever since that trip to New York City. More family pictures always. And the bow was always over her, seemed like it was always over the window. There's Mickey Mouse. Pictures of my grandpa. This is my grandma's retirement. She worked at Fresh Pack Candy Company. And this is a cousin of ours who was in the Korean War. But this is the picture that has hung here forever. And this is Cindy, Guy, and Ricky, her first 3 grandkids. And it's so beautiful. Over here, and I remember down here at this door that Grandpa had a penny holder and it was full of pennies. And I loved it because it was so heavy. But up here on the wall, there's 2 faded pictures. And one is Gina and I dressed in our Easter finery. And then a picture of my mother in her wedding dress. And the story for this was that they did not have the proper color bouquet at the photography place. So they had her hold a yellow bouquet of flowers. So Grandma took a crayon and she colored in those flowers. so that they were red because that's what her daughter had. Grandma always had that jewelry cabinet. I didn't know that was still here. And she always had makeup in the first drawer of her dresser, and she wore pancake makeup that I would remember the smell of always. She'd always put a lot of good makeup on right before she'd go to church. And again, up on the wall, this is my Aunt Sue getting awarded, I think, with her postmaster. She was a postmaster in Orion for a long time. And baby pictures. And this is from the newspaper when Aunt Sue was awarded being postmaster in Orion. When you cross this, I think this was all built new, I'm not sure. That was all before my time. But this is my grandma's kitchen, and I remember Grandma in her kitchen a lot. And I never thought about it that it was small, but that is a galley kitchen. This stove they got is actually, I think, for a camper, because they got her a replacement. But she would cook on a cast iron skillet, taught me how to do pancakes, waiting for the bubbles to rise from the dough. And all these cabinets are new from when I was little. And it's organized a lot better. She must have loved the Pillsbury Doughboy. If we have a collection, we get everything in the collection. So if you say you like anything, you better like it, because you will own everything. There were these screen doors to close, but I don't think I ever saw them closed. Down here, you take a step down, and there's the fridge. Grandpa used to have shotguns or rifles, I don't know, hung here on the wall. Grandma's magnets. She loved Vince Gill, so there's a couple of those. There's a couple from Oregon, one from San Francisco. Back here there would have been, when I was younger, there was a deep freezer, or just filled with catfish that my grandpa caught from the Mississippi River. And then there's all these cast iron figurines. Going back into the kitchen, tiny little kitchen, there was this cabinet. It was just tiny, and it was a pantry, a furnace and water heater. More cub gear. Up on the wall, there's this devil figure. This is my cousin Rick, his face. They made a mold of it and made him into a devil. And Grandma kept it up on her wall. There are magnets here. Vince Gill, Christina's wedding announcement. And I am amazed that all of us fit in this dining room. There was a small dining room table, and my mom, my sister, and I would come and join Grandma and Grandpa. Grandpa would sit at the head of the table. Grandma sat here, and then we would sit over here. Anthony had his first meal here in this little area, and it was fried squirrel when he had the first dinner at our house. More cub gear. The picture on the lower side over there is of the Oregon coast. She loved her trips out to see us. It's a nice view back to the strawberry field. This is Humpty Dumpty, salt and pepper shakers. And then this picture hung on the wall, I think forever, I'll have to ask. And she always had a calendar, and her office, I think, was right here. It was usually Vince Gill or Cubby's calendars. My grandma lived in this little house for more than 70 years. And it's going to be really hard for all of us to give it away. This is the other side of the house, the other side of her bedroom. And this is where a lot of the family pictures are. Oh, that's where the wolf is. This is where all the family pictures are. And Grandma was very specific about where she put the pictures and how many she had up. She had equal numbers for all of us because she loved us equally, even though we would never believe that. This is a picture. My grandma had a bicycle, and I remember when she got that. And I remember riding it when I was little. It's a picture of my cousin Cindy. I think it's her graduation picture from high school. That's my sister. It's graduation from high school. My cousin Rick. And my high school graduation picture. Here's Grandma getting flowers. I'm not sure what that's from. It's a wedding picture of Anthony and I. And up here, she's got two kind of scary looking dolls. And my little cousin, David Lee Katie. This is kind of her Cubs corner. She loved the Cubs and got to go to their games almost once every season. She always had a place to hang coats and things here. Cubs poster, signed Cubs stuff. And then she's got this beautiful box, and I think a friend of Mom's named Dean made this because I don't think Grandma had a proper wedding. Was it a wedding box where all you were supposed to have it and come to your wedding, and you were supposed to have all your blankets and all your bedding and stuff inside this beautiful cabinet. But I think the friend of my mom's named Dean built that for my grandma. And then this is the window that Grandpa would look out at the neighbors at. Here are the wolves. And a special quilt. All of the daughters have that quilt, or a quilt like it, made in the same kind of thing with butterflies. Grandma loved her butterflies. It's a beautiful picture of my mom with one of Grandpa's beagles. And this is from my wedding. And it was a beautiful time because everybody got to be together. And Grandma was my matron of honor. And I love this. I think my mom made this. I'll have to check too. If Mother says no, ask Grandmother. And that was the truth. Funky flamingo mirror. And then a world champs. When the Cubs were the world champs, I thought for sure we'd lose Grandma. When that happened, I didn't think she'd ever see it in her lifetime. And then when they did it, didn't think she'd have anything else to live for, because it was so wonderful. And then all these figurines.